In December of 1872, deep in the Atlantic Ocean, a silent vessel drifted across the waves. Her sails were full. Her cargo was untouched. But her crew was gone. No struggle. No trace. Only the empty ship remained. The year was 1872, a time when the Atlantic Ocean was the primary highway linking continents and empires. Steam power was advancing, yet sail still dominated long-distance trade. Merchant vessels carried goods, families, and fortune seekers across the open water. It was a world dependent on navigation, discipline, and trust in the sea. The ocean was dangerous. But it was also routine. Ships vanished at times. Yet the disappearance of entire crews remained rare enough to feel uncanny. One such vessel departed from New York that autumn. It was a merchant brig. Strongly built. Designed for ocean crossings. On board was a small crew and the captain's own family. Their destination was Europe. The ship carried barrels of industrial alcohol. This was not unusual. It was valuable cargo, tightly sealed and documented. The weather at the time of departure was steady, though the Atlantic always held the threat of sudden change. The journey ahead was expected to be long but uneventful. Months earlier, across the ocean, another vessel prepared to complete its own journey in the opposite direction. It was also a merchant ship, crewed by experienced sailors. Their route would place them along similar waters. The Atlantic, though vast, often brought ships into sight of each other. Flags were raised. Salutes exchanged. Messages shared. Such encounters were normal and reassuring. When the westbound ship spotted a brig drifting in the mid-Atlantic in early December, there was little reason to expect anything unusual. The brig's sails were partially set. The ship moved slowly with the wind. No distress flags were raised. From a distance, the vessel appeared intact. Weather conditions were calm. There was no sign of panic. No storm-torn sails. No debris in the water. Still, the drifting vessel did not acknowledge the approaching ship. No signal came in reply. No figures moved on deck. After several unanswered attempts to hail the crew, a boarding party was sent across. Such boardings happened when ships were believed to be abandoned, damaged, or in need of aid. But the sailors approaching the silent brig did not expect what they were about to find. The deck was deserted. There were no sailors. No officers. No passengers. The wheel was unmanned. The ship's log was missing its latest entries. Yet the hull was sound. The cargo was almost entirely intact. The cabins still held clothing and personal belongings. Meals had not been left abruptly. There were no signs of fire. No weapons. No struggle. It was as if the people had simply stepped off the ship and vanished into the open ocean. The boarding crew searched again. And again. Every compartment. Every corner. Nothing. The brig floated on the Atlantic, fully operational. But without a soul aboard. Word of the discovery began to spread. But with only fragments of information and no survivors, there was nothing to explain what had happened. Only questions. In the empty ship. The sailors who boarded the drifting brig were both cautious and unsettled. Abandoned ships did appear from time to time, but rarely in such orderly condition. The first step was to secure the vessel. Lines were thrown. The brig was brought under control. The officers inspected every room in sequence. The captain's quarters were tidy. The charts remained where they belonged. The only notable absence was the people themselves. Personal effects told quiet stories. Clothing still folded. toys belonging to the captain's child. Notebooks, pipes, small maritime tools. All suggested life interrupted not by chaos, but by something sudden and decisive, yet invisible. The lifeboat was missing. This detail became the central clue. At some point, the crew had chosen, or been forced, to leave the ship. But the sea was calm when the vessel was found. The hull bore no major damage. The cargo remained sealed. Why would trained sailors abandon a sound ship in open water? The boarding crew began reconstructing a timeline. The ship's provisions appeared untouched for days. Water reserves were intact. The crew had not been starving. No illness was obvious. Without the latest entries, the logbook could not explain the final moments aboard. The chronometers continued to run. The sails suggested only ordinary winds. Speculation began immediately. Had there been a gas leak from the alcohol barrels? Perhaps fumes caused panic. But the cargo barrels were sealed. No damage. Had piracy occurred? No valuables were missing. Had a rogue wave struck? The deck showed no such violence. The sailors towing the brig now felt they moved beside a floating question. The ocean, indifferent and silent, gave no answers. When both ships finally reached port, the discovery drew attention from maritime authorities, insurance officials, and the curious public. Investigators questioned crew members from the rescuing ship again and again. Every observation was recorded. Every small detail was noted. The missing lifeboat, the intact cargo, the abandoned meals, the untouched weapons, the isolated calm. The newspapers seized the story. The idea of a ship traveling alone across the Atlantic captured the imagination. Writers described phantom vessels, ghost crews, biblical signs. The case took on a life far beyond the docks and warehouses. Yet the actual evidence remained sparse and stubbornly grounded in the ordinary. No hidden messages. No final entry explaining disaster. No witnesses. Only absence. Family members of the lost crew waited for news. None came. Without bodies, there could be no certainty. Without certainty, there could be no closure. The Atlantic kept its secrets. And the ship, now infamous, became a symbol of unanswered questions. Not a mythic ruin. Not an ancient city swallowed by earth. But a modern expedition, erased in the open air. A story suspended between documentation and silence. The climax of the story arrived not in a single dramatic moment, but in the slow realization that there would be no resolution. Investigators gathered reports. Experts debated navigation errors, storms, fumes, mutiny, piracy, and illness. Yet every theory met contradiction. If there had been mutiny, why leave the ship intact? Why take only one lifeboat? Why abandon valuable cargo? If fumes caused panic, why did the crew not return once the danger passed? If a storm struck, where was the damage? The ocean remained quiet. The ship itself became the primary witness. Marks on the deck. The placement of ropes. The condition of sails. Even the position of furniture in the cabins. Each detail was studied. Each suggested normal operation up until the moment of departure. And then, nothing. The families of the missing crew received official acknowledgement. But no explanation. The case was recorded, archived, and eventually reduced to maritime paperwork. Compensation disputes dragged on for months. Legal hearings examined the details until even the extraordinary began to feel procedural. The image of the empty deck lingered, but in documents it appeared as ink, signatures, and formal statements. The rescuing sailors carried the memory of their discovery. They spoke of the unsettling stillness, of stepping aboard a ship that should have been alive with sound. The clatter of boots, the creak of rope, the voices of command. Instead, only the wind moved through the rigging. This was the turning point, the moment when everyone realized that the truth might remain permanently unknown. No lifeboat was ever found. No remains. No messages in bottles. No sightings in distant ports. Silence spread across the Atlantic, and the event slipped into the realm of unsolved maritime history. Not through legend, but through absence of fact. Mariners continued to sail similar routes. Ships passed the same waters. Life went on. Yet the thought of that empty brig, discovered with everything in place except the people, stayed in the minds of sailors. It suggested a fragile boundary between security and disappearance, between routine and uncertainty, between presence and void. In the end, the ship was remembered. But the crew, in their final hours, were not. They dissolved into ocean history. Unrecorded, unexplained, unreturned. The ship was discovered in the wide Atlantic. Her sails were set, her cargo secure. But every person was gone. The logbook ended before the final moment. The lifeboat was missing. The water was calm when she was found. No storm. No battle. No trace. Families waited for word from the sea. None came. There were no bodies. No survivors. Only rumors. Investigators searched for logic. They examined charts. They questioned sailors. They measured distance. They checked the cargo. Still nothing. Only questions repeated again and again. Why leave a working ship? Why vanish in open daylight? Why take only one small boat into the Atlantic? There were theories. Gas from the cargo. Fear. A mistake. A desperate choice. But each answer dissolved, just as the crew had dissolved into the sea. The ship returned to port. The ocean did not speak. The records were written. The statements filed. The case ended on paper, but not in memory. For a time, people spoke about it. Sailors shared the story at night. Newspapers printed it in heavy ink. Then life continued. New ships sailed. New journeys began. Old mysteries faded. The drifting brig became a line in maritime history. A date. A location. A brief description. And slowly, the story slipped away. The crew had no grave. Only water. Only distance. Only time. Their last decisions were never known. Their final words were never recorded. What remained was the image of the ship. Still. Silent. Moving with the wind. Carrying absence across the Atlantic. A modern expedition. Lost without witness. Forgotten by the world that once waited for it. And in that silence lies the meaning of the story. Not tragedy. Not legend. Only disappearance. Only the unanswered space between departure and return. Only the ocean. If this story mattered to you, consider subscribing. More forgotten history is coming.